Hey, thinking about building on the Central Coast? Watch this video first. I'm Jeff Landon with Landon Mark Real Estate Group, and we're here to help you with all of your real estate needs. Okay, this is something I have lots of experience with. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, my parents decided that they wanted to build here on the Central Coast. We were living in a small mobile home that was really old, even back in those days. And as we lived in that mobile home, we constructed a beautiful Victorian-style farmhouse. It took all of 5 years, and that's not including the planning and permitting process. So I've got a lot of insight, and then also I've been able to walk some clients through this process and just have some good insights that I think you might be interested in today on this video. So something I love and am passionate about is helping people achieve their real estate goals, and this is a lot of times is for certain people. Let's talk about that. From personal experience, I know that it can be a lot more difficult than what you may think. We've seen people that have bought land with the hopes to build, and today their lots are sitting vacant. And sometimes I even resell lots that people buy initially through me. I've realized that there's a few things that can happen that really throw people off in the process of the idea of building new construction, maybe making their new dream home. The first thing is a lot of times people have a hard time with coming up with the exact concept they want to go with. So you get a piece of land and then you're trying to fit your ideas into this piece of land. It's a lot harder than you might think. So a lot of times we'll have families that buy a piece of land and years later, they're still looking at that land and not sure exactly what they're going to do with it because they weren't clear really on their timeframes, their goals, their objectives with it. And it just doesn't build itself. Matter of fact, there's quite a few obstacles or barriers to entry. One of those being permitting and planning. You have to go through a long permitting process with an architect and engineer to get your plans approved in whatever city or county you're working in. So it's a lot harder than a lot of people think. A successful permitting or design phase and then permitting process is usually about a year long, plus or minus, but a year might be a successful period for that. And then it might take another year or more to build what you're looking for. So that's something to keep in mind. So it could be a two-year process. That leads us to the next challenge that a lot of people face. A lot of people face challenges with financing. So you have to have a lot of money into the project or have a lot of equity or have a lot of capital that's ready to go in order to build. So this is a challenge because a lot of times people don't have that kind of capital. Maybe they could afford the lot, but the lot no longer has the equity they need to secure the bank loan. So really being clear on your finances before you go into a project like this and how much it's going to cost you to build is really important. A lot of times what we're seeing now is people saying, hey, I'm just going to do modular build. I'm going to do a modular build. This is what we're going to do. And when you look at it, yeah, there's some savings there, but a lot of the costs are upfront, permitting, soft costs that people don't expect to be so significant. So really looking and investigating those beforehand is key. And that leads into my next point. Having the right professional team that's going to help you through this process is so important. So that's the engineer and the architect. They're the ones who are going to guide you through the permitting process. And if you have the right engineer and architect that work together, you can do value engineering and architecture to help save you money in the long run. What kind of truss packages you're going to work, what kind of finishes you're going to have. All those things could add hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars actually to a project. So really being clear on what your budget is, how you're going to engineer and design savings is so key. So when you get all these things together, the next most important thing is you got to hire the right contractor. And people, this is a lot of times where people get derailed. They've done everything right to this point, then they hire the cheapest contractor. And we see that there's a lot of problems that happen when you hire a cheap contractor. Typically, they don't come in budget. Typically, there's big delays. And typically, there's a lot of change orders. So really interviewing your contractor and having a solid contract, maybe even having an attorney that helps you review their contract and write your points that are non-negotiable for you into that contract is really important. The last thing that I think is so important is knowing what you want and the end product. So having that end goal, that end vision, and what neighborhood you want to be in and where you want to be exactly, and what that last day is going to look like when that last hammer makes its final hitting of the wood sound and your success is over. Being happy with that product is so important. and knowing that you have a budget to get to that place. Because a lot of times people end up making decisions that they regret later, like shrinking a living room or a bedroom or an ensuite because the budget wasn't there. So having all those things in line makes building process really, really great, but it's also a lot of challenges. Now, going back to when I was a kid, what our story is, we broke ground, I think in 4th grade, and I don't think we moved in until, I think I moved in when I was like a sophomore. It's a long process. It was a painful process. I really got to see the stress that building creates in the family, and we loved it. I learned a lot as a kid, swung a lot of hammers, did a lot of site cleanup, helped my dad do drywall and things like that. But it was a lot of work, and I think it was more stress than we really ever thought it would be as a family. So weighing that with going and buying maybe something that's already complete, maybe doing a rehab project, or something that you just need some minor updates, you really got to think about the costs on both sides. Now, if you have a vision and this is something you really want to do and you're really passionate about, then I say go for it. I think it'd be a great experience for you. Hey, that's it for me today. If you have any questions about this or other processes, or even just buying on the Central Coast, or anything real estate related, or just need a hand with something, let us know. We would love to help. We're the Landmark Real Estate Group. I'm Jeff Landon. All of our information can be found just below. Thanks so much. Take care.